Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well, staying grounded, at peace, and full of love on your lift. So, over the course of my 35,000-mile journey across 25 states in the US, which I've mentioned in previous videos, I've had 6 near-death experiences. Yeah, 6. And along the way, I've also faced countless challenges, things I never thought I'd have to go through in my entire life. The first one? I had to jump into a massive waterfall to save a fellow traveler who had slipped and fallen. It wasn't just scary, it was the kind of thing that makes your whole life flash before your eyes. The second time, I got lost in a dense forest for 2 weeks. No way out, no food left, and I was battling the flu the whole time. That level of isolation and desperation was something else. Third time, I got attacked by a mountain lion and ended up falling off a cliff. No joke. Somehow, I made it out of that one alive. The fourth time, I was crossing a desert, got completely lost, and ended up stranded for 5 days. There were 2 whole days where I didn't have a single drop of water. Try imagining that kind of thirst. Fifth, I was attacked by a group of mentally unstable people. They were armed and they opened fire. I had to run for my life. And the sixth, and probably the one that hurts the most emotionally, was when a pack of wolves attacked me. I survived, but my companion dog, Butt, gave his life to save mine. That loss still echoes in my heart. By that point, I'd been on the path of spiritual exploration, what I call dusty pilgrimage, for about 2 years. That training gave me some inner strength and survival skills, especially in handling wild animals. But let me be clear, most of the time it wasn't skill that got me through. It was raw instinct, human instinct. When danger struck fast and fierce, instinct kicked in. But when death crept in slowly, when I had time to reflect, that's when thoughts of loved ones, of those who believed in me, those who were waiting for me, that's what kept me going. But more than anything, I used that time to think hard, really hard, about how to survive. I've always believed that if you stay calm, keep your clarity, and make wise decisions, there's always a way out. So in this video, I want to share what helped me survive, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. And I'll do it through the lens of the Eightfold Path, a concept from Buddhist teachings that guides one toward awakening and liberation. Let's start with the first 2 elements, right view and right thought. These are about having the correct understanding and mindset. For me, it started with putting my trust in 2 things, the law of cause and effect and the natural flow of life. Believed that if I was meant to continue this journey, if I still had unfinished work to do, then the universe, life, or fate would let me live. Even when death was near, I believed there had to be some path, some miracle that would keep me going. Of course, I take care of myself. I'm cautious, I try to stay healthy, but we can't control everything. Sometimes it doesn't matter how careful you are. The external world still has the power to end your life in a blink. Take this pandemic, for example. No matter how smart or talented we are, we're still vulnerable. So in the end, I surrender my fate to the universe. If I have enough merit, enough kindness, and enough good karma, then I'll get to stay. And that thought, that surrender, keeps me from spiraling into fear. The second big belief that gives me strength: I am more powerful and expansive than who I am in this single moment. What I mean is, even when I'm shaking with fear or overwhelmed by trauma, I know that's not all I am. If I can get through this fear, if I can stay calm, I'll become stronger, more creative, and more resilient than ever. Pressure and crisis don't just break us, they also reveal our hidden strengths. When we turn inward, train our minds and bodies, and dig deep, we unlock abilities we didn't even know we had. Even if you're battling an illness, say cancer, for instance, there are still healthy parts of your body, and those healthy cells can help restore the weaker ones. But you need to activate that process. You need to care. You need to connect. You need to love yourself enough to send healing energy where it's needed. That's how internal healing begins. The third key belief: even when the threat, the enemy, seems overwhelming, it is still impermanent. Everything changes. Everything passes. That's the nature of life. So no matter how vicious the threat seems, be it a disease, an attacker, or a storm, it will eventually weaken. Its power won't last forever. And the one thing you absolutely shouldn't do, feed it your fear. Because when we fear something, we make it stronger, at least in our minds. If you believe it's invincible, you hand over your power. But if you believe it's temporary, you reclaim your control. Now let's talk about concentration and mindfulness, two more elements from the Eightfold Path. Concentration means gathering your mental energy, anchoring your thoughts, and not letting your mind jump all over the place. When chaos surrounds you, the last thing you need is a chaotic mind. So instead of imagining worst-case scenarios or getting sucked into negative spirals, bring your focus to the present moment. Even if your body is hurting, even if illness is raging inside you, there are still parts of you that are whole. There are still beautiful things around you if you look closely. Focus on what's working. Focus on what's still okay. That's where your strength comes from. That's the kind of mindfulness that keeps you centered. When you can focus deeply on one peaceful, present object, like your breath, or a calming sound, or even a loving memory, you start to feel deeply connected to the world around you. And in that connection, you draw powerful healing energy from the earth, from the universe. Of course, this isn't easy. If you haven't practiced mindfulness when life is calm, it's nearly impossible to suddenly switch it on during a crisis. But we have to try. We have to train ourselves, even if we have to rely on others for support. The goal is to anchor your mind in the now, to stop it from spiraling into fear, and to restore your energy. One way to do this is to set boundaries, especially with distractions. For example, turn off the internet for a while. Avoid noisy, chaotic information. You don't need a flood of updates or arguments about who's right and wrong. What your mind really needs is stillness, rest, a sacred space to breathe and find its balance again. And most importantly, follow the health guidelines. If you're in a pandemic, follow the 5K rule or whatever your local health authority recommends. Doing so doesn't just protect your body, it strengthens your mental discipline. It brings order back into your life. Now let's dive deeper into mindfulness, or as we say, being truly aware. You see, mindfulness means paying attention to what's going on, not just around us, but inside us. Are you calm, or are you anxious? Are you feeling safe, or are you afraid, angry, exhausted? One of the biggest mistakes we make in tough situations is focusing only on the outside, the virus, the crisis, the people who upset us, the chaos. But the real battlefield? It's inside. If you're not aware of what's happening in your own heart and mind, if you're letting fear and negativity run the show, then it doesn't matter how well you prepare externally. You've already lost half the battle. When we fail to recognize what's going on inside us, those buried emotions, stress, fear, anger, start controlling everything. The way we speak, the decisions we make, how we treat people. That's why awareness is critical. You have to stop, check in with yourself, and ask, what am I really feeling right now? And then, don't run away from it. Be honest, sit with it, care for it. Because when you can name your fear, you can tame your fear. Let me say something important here. Even if the external threat isn't that serious, if your inner world is chaotic, you won't make it through. But if you can get a grip on your own mind, if you can rise above your limitations, manage your emotions, and flip your mindset, you've already won most of the battle. So yes, mindfulness is like your radar. It helps you catch the storm inside you before it turns into destruction outside you. And once you catch it, what do? You care for it. You return your attention inward. You breathe with it. You give it space to calm down. That's how transformation begins. And that leads us to the next elements, right speech and right action. These are huge, because when things go wrong, When there's panic or danger or a sense of collapse, it's so easy to let our words run wild, to lash out, to blame, to argue, to vent. But every word matters. In times of crisis, one careless sentence can create division. One hasty comment can destroy trust. So be mindful of your words. Speak with intention. Don't let fear or anger control your mouth. This isn't the time for finger-pointing, toxic gossip, or fueling online drama. If something isn't helpful, don't say it. Don't add fire to an already burning house. And it's not just about words, it's about actions too. Every action we take should come from a place of wisdom, not panic. If your choice is based on fear, stop and breathe. Reset. Ask yourself, is this helpful? Is this kind? Is this necessary? Because what we do right now doesn't just affect us. It affects everyone around us, our families, our communities, even strangers. If you take reckless actions or spread fear or make impulsive decisions, you don't just put yourself at risk. You put others at risk too. So here's the invitation. Pause before you act. And when you do act, do it from a centered place. Let your actions be healing, not harmful. We also need to remember that we're all in this together. The people you're mad at, the ones who don't act the way you want, they're not the enemy. The true enemy, if you want to use that word, is the pandemic. It's the chaos. It's the misunderstanding and fear that separate us. So don't waste time fighting the wrong battles. Let go of the need to control everything. Let go of grudges, blame, and drama. This isn't the time to argue about who's right or wrong. This is the time to support each other, to embrace each other, and to forgive. The strongest communities aren't the ones who agree on everything. They're the ones who stay united through compassion, even when they disagree. So let's build that kind of strength together. Now here's something else that's powerful. Right effort. This means putting in consistent effort, not once in a while, not only when it's convenient, but with persistence, even when it's tough, especially when it's tough. You keep showing up, you keep practicing awareness, you keep calming yourself down, you keep making wise choices, you don't quit. But listen, effort doesn't mean stress, it doesn't mean hustle culture or burning yourself out. It means steady, mindful effort. The kind that's grounded, the kind that's sustainable. If you push yourself too hard, you'll break. If you go too fast, you'll burn out. So be patient, be gentle with yourself, stay committed but relaxed. Like a bamboo tree, strong but flexible. Because that balance, that's what helps you survive long term. And not just survive, but transform. See, when you pass through a crisis like this with awareness and strength, you don't come out the same. You don't just get through it, you come out transformed, more courageous, more grounded, more compassionate. You become a warrior of peace, someone who's been through the fire and carries calmness like a superpower. And when you find that kind of strength in yourself, it becomes contagious. Other people feel it. You don't even have to say much. Just your presence, your energy will lift others. That's the power of inner work. That's the power of choosing love over fear. Before we close this section, let me say this. This moment we're living in, it's not just about avoiding sickness. It's about awakening. It's about evolving. It's about reconnecting with who we really are and becoming the best version of ourselves, not just for our own sake, but for everyone around us. Because here's the truth. No one is coming to save us. We are the ones we've been waiting for. The power to heal this world starts inside each of us. So let's turn inward. Let's get grounded. Let's become the kind of people who don't just react, we respond. Who don't just survive, we uplift. Who don't just hold on, we hold each other. We've got more to cover, including the final pieces of the Eightfold Path and how they apply directly to our current reality. We've talked about mindfulness, speech, action, and effort. Now we move into the final steps of the Eightfold Path, right livelihood and right concentration, and most importantly, how they all come together to help us transform in times of crisis. Let's begin with right livelihood. Now, in a spiritual or traditional sense, this usually refers to earning a living in a way that doesn't harm others or go against your values. But in the context of a crisis, like a pandemic or personal life collapse, this concept widens. Right livelihood becomes a question of, what kind of energy am I putting into the world each day? How am I showing up, not just in my work, but in my relationships, in my mindset, and in the way I contribute to community well-being? Even if you're not working a job right now, you still have a role to play. We all do. And it starts by asking ourselves, are my actions adding stress to the world or easing it? Am I fueling confusion and anger or bringing peace and clarity? Am I giving in to fear or am I being a light for others? Sometimes right livelihood just means taking care of yourself properly, physically, mentally, emotionally, so you don't become a burden to others. It means being responsible, following health guidelines, keeping yourself safe, and helping others do the same. It means spreading compassion, not chaos. When each of us takes ownership of our part in this shared world, the collective strength we create becomes unstoppable. Now let's talk about right concentration. This is where it all comes together. It's the ability to focus deeply, to still the mind, to bring all your energy into a single, clear moment. You're not scattered. You're not pulled in 100 directions. You're here, fully present. And when you can anchor yourself in deep concentration, especially during a storm, something incredible happens. You begin to feel a connection with everything, with nature, with life, with others, even with the energy of the earth itself. That kind of concentration isn't just spiritual, it's survival. It gives you the clarity to make the right decisions. It gives you the mental space to breathe, to reset, to grow, and it keeps fear from hijacking your entire nervous system. But concentration, like everything else, requires practice. You don't build this overnight. That's why daily routines, rituals, and quiet time are essential. Meditation, breathwork, reflection, these aren't luxuries, they're lifelines. Especially now, because here's the thing, we can't rely solely on outside systems to fix everything. Science, government, healthcare, they all have their role. But if we want real transformation, it has to happen inside each of us. We need spiritual immunity just as much as we need physical immunity. We need to be able to stay calm while the world is shaking, to hold space for others when they're breaking down, to walk through fire without burning out. And that's only possible if we practice stillness daily. Now let's zoom out and bring all of this together. Let's talk about the deeper truth behind this journey we're all on. The real battle right now isn't just against a virus or a crisis. It's against fear. It's against division. It's against the belief that we're powerless. Because we're not. We are capable of incredible transformation, both individually and collectively. But it takes effort. It takes consciousness. And most of all, it takes love. Love not as a vague, romantic idea, but as a radical, active force. Love as in, I choose to understand you even if I disagree with you. I choose to protect you by protecting myself. I choose to care for my energy because I know it ripples out. And that brings me to something that's easy to forget during hard times, the importance of letting go. We have to learn how to release what isn't essential, the grudges, the perfectionism, the need to be right, the habit of control, the constant checking, comparing, arguing. Let it go. Forgive quickly. Apologize when needed. Don't hold on to stuff that drains your spirit. In the grand scheme of things, most of it doesn't matter. What matters is the energy you carry, the love you offer, the compassion you lead with. So if there's someone you need to forgive, do it. If there's someone you need to thank, say it. If there's someone you can help, reach out. Because this isn't just about getting through a hard time. This is about evolving as humans. This is about becoming who we're meant to be. And sometimes it takes a breakdown for the breakthrough to happen. Don't resist the process. Embrace it. Let it shape you, strengthen you, soften you. And while you're doing all that inner work, don't forget to return to the body. Stay grounded. Eat well, rest deeply, move your body, spend time in nature if you can, touch the earth, look up at the sky, reconnect with what's real. There is so much healing power in simplicity. And finally, I want to leave you with this truth. You are not alone. Even if you're physically isolated, even if it feels like no one understands, you are not alone. There are millions of others waking up just like you, learning just like you, rising, falling, and rising again just like you. And if we can begin to support each other, not just in words, but in real, tangible ways, then we can become the kind of community that no crisis can break. Let's be that for each other. Let's be the calm in the chaos, the wisdom in the noise, the love in the fear. Let's walk forward, not just as individuals, but as a conscious collective. A tribe of humans who care, who act, who evolve together. We don't need to wait for some perfect time to start. This is the moment. So take a deep breath, feel your heart, and step forward. As always, I'm sending you strength, peace, and love. If this video resonated with you, consider sharing it with someone who needs a little hope right now. Let's keep growing together. Let's keep showing up. Let's walk toward the sun together. Thanks for being here. See you in the next one.